All right, so let's wrap up talking about characters and how they work. So we just said that we can add first char here, and we saw that if we sys out, we got 72, right? So let's just verify that we have that again. Yep, save that, and we get 72, right? So that means that C plus some number 5 is 72. Now, if we wanted to output that character number in terms of an actual character, what we can do is, this is called typecasting or force casting, is the way I think of it, of a given integer into that thing. So we're going to say value here, and oops, we didn't create value yet. So let's go ahead and create this integer. We'll say int value equals first char plus 5, right? And now we can then take this and force cast value into this new type character. And if we save and print out, we're going to see H. So 72 is H in the case that if you have, the letters broken out, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and you associate these with numbers. So we said C was 67, 68. Whoops, I'm going to need more spaces here. So let's see. There we go. All right, so let's go 60. Whoa. 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. So that's why this is giving us an H, because H is the 72nd letter of this quote-unquote ASCII chart, which, let's see if I can show you guys on the next video. I'll pull it up briefly so that you guys can see it, but there is an associated number and letter for each. Now, it doesn't work the same way for strings, but there is a special thing that you can do for strings. So if you have a single character in string, you can say, or a single, single character in string, you can essentially find out what the character is at that value. So you can say, let's say string, temp string, and set that equal to our convention, double quotes. And then you can also create a char of temp. Sorry, I keep calling everything temp, and it's probably bad for you guys to see that. But in any case, it's just for demonstration purposes. Temp character, and then I want to find out temp string of, we'll give this a letter J, right? Capital J specifically is going to have a different effect than lowercase j. But I can do char at, this is a built-in Java function of that value. So temp, at 0. So what this is going to do is say, of this, like the at the 0th slot in this thing. So if this was like John, for example, right? It's going to say, okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. That's something you should know in programming. It always starts at 0 for counting purposes. It's going to actually tell me what that character is. So we can run this, sys out, temp char, and run it. We should get J, right? So that does kind of work, but that is mostly just finding, which character is at that location. So kind of different. It will output a single character, which is why we were able to store it into temp char, but it doesn't necessarily associate a numerical value. Like the 0 doesn't represent a capital J. It's mostly just because of the fact that we're at the first slot in the word John. It's going to give us a capital J. If I were to do 1, for example, you're going to see that there's going to give me a lowercase o, which it did. So there is some application to having characters be associated with numbers, and there's some applications to being able to pull specific characters out of strings, but it's again, it's going to be a very specific case where you want a character as opposed to a string, like assuming that there are applications and you can look into it, but that's the most basic explanation for why that is the case. So that explains character and how to convert to a string. Or, well, actually, I haven't converted how to convert to a string, but you can do, for example, temp string equals, let's say we want to add, character 1 plus character 2. Actually, we did do this, yeah. So we can add plus concatenate .toString. So you can do that essentially in a string without being in a print statement, but I think that's pretty much the basics I wanted to cover for character. and then we can go into formatted printing on the next video. So let's go ahead and save this.